Here we are. We're back. Yes, Comrade Robert. Welcome, sir. We're back. Let's make it work. Thanks for joining. We appreciate you all for joining. We're about to have the most extraordinary conversation with Mr. Mbah Akuroh. So thank you for joining us. As you join, you immediately share, please. This is going to be amazing. There are a lot of hot topics in which we're going to talk about, okay? So as you join, you share. As you join, you immediately share. As you join, you share immediately. We're going to have one of the most extraordinary conversations today. There's so much we're going to pull out of Mbah Akuroh. All right? Jimmy Reeves. It's been a while. Where you been, man? So go ahead, join and share. As you join, you share. Join, you share, please. Invite as many of your friends as possible. Let's move the day is still young. It's yeah. So let's move the conversation forward, guys. Mbah must be free. Ambazonian must be free, my friend. Look, Chinda, this is not new. Come on. The movement is not been new. We've all been talking about the movement. So what is that so new to you guys? Come on, man. All right? So as you join, you share immediately. As you join, you share. As you join, you share. Please. Invite your friends. Invite your friends. Invite your friends. It's a good thing my friend Eric Tato is doing out there. You know, championing the cause. You know, sending fire to the enemy. It's a great thing my friend Eric is doing out there. We applaud him and appreciate what he's doing. So as you join, you share immediately. All right? Ngabi. Janet. Thanks for joining. As you join, you share immediately, please. As you join, you share. As you join, you share, please. Share as quickly and as fast as possible. Let's build an audience quickly. And now, you know, we can bring our guests because we've tested the technology and it works. All right? As you join, you share. Chimeri. Welcome back. All right? We must be free, guys. We must be free. We must be free. Mbah must be free. There is nothing that Bia can do. There's nothing that France can do. There's nothing that Nigeria can do. There's nothing that the United Nations can do. There's nothing that the European Union can do that will stop this. Independent mission. We're moving straight. We must reclaim our stolen independence. Nothing else. Nothing. So, as you join, you share immediately. Let's have these type of conversations. All right? We'll be talking about strategy. We'll be talking to a veteran journalist who's rubbed shoulders and walked through the corridors of La République du Cameroon. Let's ask some deep questions and pull out some nuggets of knowledge as to why they do what they do. Jessica Linda, welcome. Mami Nsani. Oh, Jessica Linda, Mani Nsani. I know what Mani means in Bayangi. Mani, Echina. My friend Jessica Linda. So thanks for joining us, guys. The moment you join, you share. 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 Share as quickly and as fast as possible. Invite your friends and tell all your friends that they can join you. Whoa, Chitu, welcome. It's been a while. How have you been? Good to see you. Yes, of course. Mbah first, always. Yes, so that's right. I know. As this cannot be one, we are with a bleeding heart, all of us. Our hearts are bleeding. But now the thing that's why we have to stay strong. That's why we have to work collaboratively. That's why we have to put Ambazonian first. That's why we have to put the mission for the restoration of our independence first. That's why everything we have to do, the way we speak to one another, the way our leaders speak in public and in private, that spirit. So today we are going to have an extraordinary conversation with a veteran journalist, and I'm going to ask some very tough questions to pull the best out of him, to talk about, his rubbed shoulders with these crazy people in La République du Cameroon. Let's figure out what are they thinking, what's happening. Why did Macron went to Nigeria? Let's talk to someone who, this is what they study, this is what they are looking at, they spend 24 hours a day digging for this type of information, right? Because the more of this type of knowledge we have, we can feed our people, and then we can be very proactive, and then we know how to organize ourselves, and then we know how to defeat their plans, all right? So that's why we take the time to sort out the best of the best among Ambazonian people and bring those leaders so that they can educate us, they can communicate to us, they can inspire us, they can tell us what we are doing wrong, and they can tell us what we need to do to improve. All right? So go ahead and share and invite your friends, please. Okay. Njang Orok, thank you for joining us. As the moment you join, you share, join and share, please. Thank you very much, Comrade Ayo Paul. We appreciate you very much for the extraordinary work that you're also doing. So as you join, you immediately share, please. Before we bring our guest for today, the veteran journalist, Mr. Mbah Akuroh, who's been rubbing shoulders within the hallways of La République du Cameroon government. So he can tell us everything we need to know about people like Atanganji, what's their plan, what is all of this for. Caroline B., welcome back. For sure, we are going to make Ambazonia not only great again, but we are going to build a nation that is second to none. So guys, as you join, you share immediately. All right. As you join, you share, please. Invite your friends. Tell all your friends. Join and share. Join and share. Join and share. Join and share. That's the goal here. Right? Let's have, a meaningful conversation. Let's not just get angry as to why what is happening, but let's understand why is what is happening. And then how do we prepare ourselves to not only so that we can defeat what's happening. Perkins said, I don't tell Europe, I want to go back go drink Guinness. No, Perkins, we need to go back go drink Guinness. We need to go back go drink fine Matango. We need to go back go drink fine Sha. We need to go back go drink fine Country Mimbo. You right? We need not be only Guinness. We need to go back go drink fine Matango. That fresh one where they come out for, where they just tap them for morning time or for evening. Johnson Aga, you watching from Ghana? Wow. Thank you so much for joining us, Johnson, the Valia Aga. Thank you for joining us all the way from Ghana. Are you watching from Accra? Or are you watching from Takoradi? Rich Elias, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Yes. Everyone, welcome on board. Welcome. As you join, you share immediately. Share and invite your friends. There is so much going on in this revolution. We need to understand why what is happening is happening. Why did Macron go to Nigeria? What is behind the humanitarian aid? Why are they, so let's talk to the people that have rubbed shoulders with these people so that they can tell us why they're doing what they do. And then how we as a people can be prepared, because we understand why they are doing what they are doing. We can get into the strategies of how to defeat their efforts. Right? So as you join, you share. Let's bring someone who's knowledgeable in this, in the field, right? Lambi Samuel. Always appreciate you, Rich Elias. You're so extraordinary. Thank you very much. We appreciate you for your love, your caring, and your kindness towards our people. We appreciate all the support. So as you join, please share immediately. Wow, Gake, Theodore, welcome. We hail you too. Always. We hail you too. So as you join, you share, please share, guys. Akuroh, thanks for joining, Akuroh. Thank you so much for joining. We appreciate you, Akuroh. Duclair Assom. Akuroh Duclair Assom. Akuroh Colette Jean Duclair Assom. As you join, you share, please, guys. All right. As you join, you share. How's it going, Akuroh? How's everything? How's your family? So share, invite your friends, send everybody a message. Let's bring our guest. All right. Tabot Delphine, hello. Welcome, Delphine. I appreciate you. As you join, you share immediately. Whoever else has joined should share as fast as possible. All right, let's bring on our veteran journalist, Bemsi. Yes, there is so much happening right now in our revolution, and it's time for us to take full control of it. It's all right. Ade, Sheikh Kingston, welcome back, comrade. We appreciate you. Be Ernest, welcome back. Ambah Lion, welcome back. We appreciate you guys. Crescentia Kubri, welcome back. Comrade Eugene, welcome back. We appreciate you guys. As you join, you share. As you join, you share. Welcome back, guys. Welcome. I see you guys. We honor you guys so much. We honor you guys so much. So welcome back. All right. So as you join, you share immediately. All right. Thank you very much, Ambah Lion. We appreciate you. Thank you. I'm doing great, as you can tell. Always in good spirit. My psychology is strong, focused, unwavering. Nothing, no shaking. Nothing can move us. AF Ntum, welcome. Welcome. As you join us, please share and invite your friends. Oh wow, Peter Taco Fondo, welcome. There is good news, Peter Jr. There is good news. We're going to bring a veteran journalist, the president of Consortium, Mbah Akuroh. Jack Luciani, welcome. We appreciate you guys for joining. Welcome. So thanks for joining. Yes. Okay. All right, let's send you the link. He wants the link. We're going to send. It's coming. So just give me a few seconds. We're going to send a new link. All right. So as you join, you share. No worries, Ambah Lion. No worries. Victorine. Welcome, Victorine. We appreciate you for joining. As you join, you share, please. All right. Copy link. We've got the link. Within a minute, our guest will be joining us. He's ready. So join. As you join, you share, please. As you join, you share. All right, we've sent the link. He's going to be joining us. Tumenta Ndiba Nandiba. Oh my goodness. Fanka is here. Fanka, what's going on? Mr. Mbah Akuroh is here. All right, sir. All right. It's added. Abu Free. Welcome, Abu Free. Hello, Delphine Ncham. It's adding. It's adding nicely. So as you join, you share immediately, please. As you join, you share. Ngwafak, Clovis, thanks for joining us. It's showing that it's adding. So we're going to have the veteran journalist, Mr. Mbah Akuroh, the president of Consortium. He's going to tell us about what Consortium is up to. So there's so much to talk about. Tumenta, As you join, you share immediately. Okay, you on, sir. Okay, I sent you an invite already. Okay. I'm sending you another invite, sir. Just like before. It's so easy. This technology, it makes things so easy. I love it. It's adding, sir. I'm going to share. There we are. Rotate your camera, sir.
Yeah, it is done.
All right. We can see you. You somewhat. All right. That's better, sir. That's much. A little bit more. A little bit more. Okay. Perfect. 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 Perfect.
Okay,
Wow.
great.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being with you. Good afternoon
We are
and good
we are
evening to our people on Ground Zero.
we are very pleased that you've taken the time to join us this afternoon. So we thank you so much for your patience, and we thank you. We've had a little bit of technological glitches, but we know how to figure stuff out. We figured it out. So thank you for joining, sir.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Akuroh, this is the first time we're having you on our platform. You are a veteran journalist with a lot of experience. You've rubbed shoulders within the corridors of La République du Cameroon, within the personalities of that government. We want to find out from you what is going on in their minds for them in the middle of a war. They declared a war. They haven't called for a ceasefire. In the middle of a war, they are offering humanitarian aid. What's going on with that?
You know, it pushes me into laughter because those who actually believe that the money that is being contributed actually for humanitarian aid, it engages only their responsibility. Because if that system remains a system that I know, then you should actually put it in your mind that those contributions have got nothing to do with humanitarian assistance. And I give you evidence. If the money had to do with humanitarian assistance, those kind of contributions will come after, I mean, a kind of ceasefire. Either is unilateral ceasefire on the side of La Republique because they declared that war unilaterally. It was not something that was done mutually, or at least you would have seen some signs. You would have heard that system actually, send across signals that indicate that right now these people are truly sorry for what is happening. These people don't like what is happening, and these people want, I mean, what I should now call the war to end. You
Yes.
know, that they want to end the unilateral attacks on unarmed civilians across southern Cameroons. But when you look at it, today we have discovered that the La Republique side is rather escalating the situation because right now they're already launching rockets in several places in southern Cameroon. If you look at the situation in Manu, you notice that we have also pictures with, uh, uh, weapons that are quite indicative that they were launched from rockets to bring down people's homes. It's the same thing they are doing in Com. They put off electricity in the whole of Boyo division, uh, Boyo County, and right now there will be no lights there for about a month. I'm sure you also heard that yesterday they broke into the Batibo District Hospital, fired one. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And you find out why they were doing such things. And you know what? You even know what international law says. Even when it is a conventional war, you cannot attack hospital institutions. But these are people who are there telling you that they are contributing money for humanitarian purposes, and at the same time they are carrying out those exactions. Let me tell you, Mr. Asu,
Please go
and
ahead, sir.
to the people of southern Cameroons that are listening to me right now, that the treasury of La République du Cameroon is completely empty. They don't have money anymore. If you doubt what I'm saying, call Yaoundé. If you have anybody in Yaoundé, tell him to go to the Ministry of Finance and find out the last time that at that ministry they paid bills or they paid money owed to business people doing business with government following the decade system, because they have a system of payment in decades. That is the program every 10 days. The last time that that kind of programming was followed was on the 20th of December 2017. After the 20th of December 2017, anybody who has had anything paid to them in that country only went through, a kind of quasi backdoor system where you say you obtain an authorization, a special dispensation for a special move to pay you from an authority of that department. In French, they call it Akuroh. And the number of people who succeed in having this Akuroh has been thinning by the days. As I'm
So,
talking to
so,
you
so
now,
if we
I have a
if we
gentleman at
understand,
that treasury. As I'm speaking to you now, I have a gentleman who's been working there for 25 years. And he told me just yesterday, Mr. Akuroh, I'm assuring you, the situation is too bad. A lot of them are unable to have even 500,000 francs displaced from that treasury. If you like, find out. I think there's an institution there called Anafoot. And Anafoot is an institution that was created recently by Mr. Paul Biya. Anafoot is an organization to take care of football, whatever way they appointed our own Enongachu to be director general. Find out from there if they've had salary. Last month they didn't have salary. I'm not sure they're going to have salary this month. That is just one out of many corporations.
okay,
So those contributions that are ongoing are
yes,
meant to assist Mr. Paul Biya hire mercenaries from France to assist Mr. Paul Biya get weapons to continue his war against us. It is not for humanitarian purposes. The treasury is empty, and so they must stretch out like that. So you will find a few isolated cases where they will go to, like you saw them in General Tato's village, where not a single house was razed down, where nobody has been shot dead in that locality. Then you share food and whatever to people who have never been displaced. All of those ones are just for the camera, because they want to give people the impression that truly the money is meant for that purpose. It is not.
okay.
So that is why I said, and I keep repeating, anybody whose name you see on that list that they have contributed money, those people are our enemies. They are contributing money so that they should use it in killing innocent, unarmed people in southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. That's my
So
reaction.
if we get you clearly that this is just one of those their behaviors where they said what they say one thing in the public and then they go to do something completely else. Is that true?
But of course, that is exactly what exactly what I spent this whole while saying. Mr. Asu, I don't know where you were in 1994. In 1994, when Cameroon was about to play the World Cup in the United States of America, recall what happened. Equally, we were coming from a very dire and difficult political situation, like the one we were facing now. But just that was at a time where people were, insisting that we should return to multi-party politics, and so there were a lot of problems, ghost towns, all of those things, and all of that. So there was no money in the country, and they came up with a project that people should contribute 50 francs, 100 francs, 200 francs, market women for lions play well in the United States of America. What happened to that money?
What happened to it? Tell
All of
us.
us learned. Of course, I think a lot of people who are listening to me now know the whole story. You can ask Mr. Augustin Conchu Kwamenye, who was Minister of Communication at the time. He told us that the money disappeared in between Paris and New York. So until this day I'm talking to you, that money is in the air. The aircraft carrying that money has not landed since 1994.
So
those are the kind of things,
So is this Atanganji's way of also embezzling 12 billion CFA?
Well, yeah, maybe sometimes we put a lot on Atanga Ponji and give him a lot of power and give him a lot of access. You should know that Mr. Atanga Ponji cannot even have as much access as people think. The position given to Mr. Atanga Ponji, first of all, it's a much reduced position, because that ministry was initially the Ministry of Territorial Administration and Decentralization, which included local councils and all whatnot, where perhaps the money is. But by the time the administration was being given to Mr. Atanga Ponji, they took off decentralization. It's a whole ministry on its own. So he has just about part of the ministry. He has the skeletal part of the ministry. And so with the skeletal part of the ministry, I don't know what degree of leverage he has. That's number one. Then number two, if you find out there are secretaries, like the Secretary General of that ministry, and even directors under Mr. Tanga Polji, who should be the ones giving him instructions than taking from him, because that is a lot of any Southern Cameroonian appointed in the administration of La République du Cameroon. You have assistants who are actually your bosses, and they always make sure that each time they give any position to anyone who speaks English from Southern Cameroons, they create a counterweight. We see those things on a daily basis. We have seen
So,
situations where a director tells a minister that please just stop and be doing what you are doing there, because if you joke, I will get you out of here. That is somebody who's supposed to have been appointed by him. So we give Atanganji sometimes a lot of leverage. He's just a little brat who has been given, some little public power because he's making a lot of noise, and they want to use him to say this is one of you. So when they go to the international community, they say, but these people are saying that Southern Cameroonians are complaining. How can they be complaining? This is one of them. His minister, talk to him and hear what he says. They just use him as a parrot. And when the time comes, when it becomes necessary to execute even him to attain their objectives, they wouldn't think twice. After all, didn't they bring down the home of Professor Paul Nkui in 2 days
yes,
ago?
we
Did they
have.
care that he went against the wishes of the people of Southern Cameroon to go and accept the position of member of the Constitutional Council? They didn't care. When anything belonging to him is standing on their way, they clear it. They don't bother. So that is why I have always had the opportunity to tell our people that anytime you settle for less than you deserve, you
Yes.
end up with less than you even ever settled for. That is what is happening to them. That's what's
So,
happening to all of those people. We
so
had better concentrated and fought our way to the end.
all right. So that's great. Now I want to ask you this: the house of one of the members of the Constitutional Council was also raised down. The question I want to ask you is, what signal is this giving members of parliament, senators, and all those corporate executives within government corporations? What message are they sending to these people?
I think if you listen to what I said just a while ago, I'll literally answer to the question that you're asking now. But for the benefit of doubt, let me go back to it. I am saying in very triumphant terms, none of those people are trusted by Yaoundé. Yaoundé doesn't trust any of them. This is what Yaoundé thinks. Yaoundé knows that these people, if they are human beings, they must be frustrated that they are killing their brothers and sisters, they are killing their children, they are burning down their villages. They know that these people are just calm, they are just quiet, they are just appearing to be cooperating because they are afraid of the sledgehammer too, because they know that once you get into that system, they make sure you are completely soiled. Can you quote any system upon whom no file in any sphere of, say, either the talk of embezzlement or the talk of involvement or the talk of abating of embezzlement or any of those things? They're involved everywhere. So these people, they all know that there are issues against them. And so the administration knows that either some of them are thinking, okay, if I can sacrifice my people, I earn something, fine and good. But they know in their heart of hearts, they know they must be disgruntled because they are human beings. So they don't trust them. And so when it comes to time even to sacrifice them, they wouldn't think twice because they don't, first of all, hold them in any esteem. We all have heard the story surrounding General Yenwo Ivor, who in 1984 almost gave his life to protect Mr. Paul Biya. It's not come to the open, but we all know that they wanted to take his life because when this thing started, they said he's only a human being. He cannot be protecting the head of state, and at the same time, they'll be killing his people and all that he may act. So instead of just relieving him of the duty, they said, but if we just relieve him of the duty and leave him there, he knows too much. We need to kill him. So it tells you that all of them are just like what I remember I read once in one of Shakespeare's texts, that as flies to wanton boys are we to the gods. They kill us for their sport. That is what they are to the system in Yaoundé. That is what they are to Mr. Paul Biya. Nothing. And so it is good for people sometimes not to just die like rats. Add some dignity, even in death. That's what I've told a good lot of them who still exchange with me daily. I tell them, Mr. Minister, look, this thing you are doing is not gainful. You are trying to protect at least the few days you have left, but you are destroying your entire dynasty. You are destroying the future of those children you are leaving behind. Because whether you like it or not, the wheel of change is here. Whether you like it or not, things will never be the same again. Whether you like it or not, Southern Cameroons will be independent.
That's right.
And when it happens without you, tell me, on which side you will be in history? Will your children like to bear your name? I said, because before long, a good lot of them will like to dissociate themselves from that name because of the deeds that you are doing now. So if you are thinking of them, think differently.
So the question that I have for you is, they have launched this 12 point something billion humanitarian package, which we know is a deception. What should our people do? Because these things are in process. What should our people do?
I recall that a good lot of us activists and a lot of people in the leadership of our struggle have outrightly informed our people, first of all, not to accept any gifts that come from the hands of the oppressor. Because, first, it's marks of ridicule that I hold a cane, I'm trashing you on one side, and then I hold some grains of rice in the other hand, I say, come and take. So I'm beating you and feeding you just because I want the world to realize that you are nothing. It is even a worse form of humiliation. That's the truth. So I think that our people are sensitized enough. You have heard those in Nigeria have outrightly said, Mr. Paul Biya, don't even bother to send anything because we wouldn't need it. Okay? We will not be falling for it. We have told our people more than enough, don't be part of this drama. And I think our people are heeding to that piece of advice. I must congratulate them because yes, I know our Southern Cameroon's people are proud people. Yes. They rather die of hunger, they rather die in pains than get their dignity rubbed into mud, taking them worse than the level of even mere slavery.
I actually did a video in which I told our people to openly pee on those things, to openly shit on those things, and then carry their shit with their hands and throw it on those people publicly, and then do videos, send it to us so that we can publish those videos. That's because we need to give them a little bit of a taste of what it feels like to be on the other side.
Well, I'm a
little bit extreme in what I do.
I'm sure you listen to our people in Nigeria to the for long without having food. A good lot of them don't even have good places where they really sleep in. Some of them are still battling with security challenges, but all the same, they found time to send a sound message to Mr. Paul Biya. We don't want your food. We don't want your assistance. Yes. They wrote to the Nigerian government. They wrote to the UNHCR. They wrote to the commission in charge of refugees and internally displaced persons. And I think the reaction of the Nigerian government has been one of surprise because they don't recall anywhere in history where an oppressor is killing people and the people run into exile and the oppressor follows them into exile to give them food in the places where they have taken refuge. Yeah. Perhaps they are looking for other ways to poison them. That since they may not be able to capture everyone, they should poison, they should kill. What La République du Cameroon has shown to us is that they can go to any length. They can go to any length to achieve any evil design that they intend to achieve. And I think a good lot of the Francophones on the other side are beginning to understand this whole thing because they have been deceived and brainwashed for a very long time. A good lot of them are beginning to understand that today it is us, tomorrow it would be them. So I think the messages that we're getting from some of them are quite soothing. There are still a good number who don't understand. There are still some who think that we need to be killed completely and destroyed so that they stay alive. But I pity them because it's not going to happen. The people of Southern Cameroon have had it enough, and we've had it more than enough. I understand Mr. Biya is having a lot of calculations with France and all how to come up with all sorts of trash. The last I heard before we started this show was someone in Yaoundé telling me something that I already saw on social media, how Mr. Paul Biya plans to make a speech to call a referendum in 2019 so that they should determine the form of the state. And I wanted to say, honestly, if I were his advisors, I would tell him, don't ridicule yourself because we will not accept any referendum called by Yaoundé. At least we had a taste of it in 1972.
That's right.
The plebiscite that took place to bring these two peoples together, the people of the former British Southern Cameroons and those of La République du Cameroun, was conducted by the United Nations on 11th of February 1961, and only the people of Southern Cameroons voted.
Yes.
So when you begin telling us some kind of trash that referendum will be organized nationally to determine the form of state, we know because we had another test of it in 1995. Do you know this, Mr. Asu? That in 1995, the 20 CPDM parliamentarians in the Northwest, led by late Honorable Ihims Jacob Anye, and then the 15 parliamentarians from the Southwest, some CPDM, others NUDP, put their heads together and urged that government in Yaoundé to change the name of the country back from Republic of Cameroon to United Republic of Cameroon.
And what was the response?
They pointed out to the government very clearly that there was going to be danger in the future because the decision taken by Mr. Paul Biya in January of 1984, unilaterally changing the name to La République du Cameroon, tortures history, distorted history, and at the same time was already attacked in a law court in Bamenda.
Yes.
And the Bamenda High Court granted that by taking that single act, Mr. Paul Biya and La République du Cameroon has seceded from the union. So they said to keep this union again alive and to make sure there will be no future problems, please let us go back, at least even just to the name, United Republic of Cameroon. It was hard fought. At that time, I was a student at the Advanced School of Mass Communication, and I was in Parliament almost on a daily basis because I was so keen to know exactly how it was going to end. I exchanged with these parliamentarians, and I recall the late Honorable Ihims crying that they had pleaded with a lot of the Francophone colleagues in Parliament, please vote for a return to the name United Republic of Cameroon to forestall future trouble. And the instructions came from A2D that they should, because it was a bill being debated, and the instruction came from A2D that all of them should vote for the name La République du Cameroon to legalize what Mr. Paul Biya carried out as an illegal act in 1984. And in the end, there were 36 votes for a return to the name United Republic of Cameroon, and all the rest were for La République du Cameroon. Those 35 votes, the 35 votes were from the MPs of the Northwest and the Southwest, and one UPC MP from the Littoral. Because I was in Parliament, I followed those things. So what referendum can Mr. Paul Biya talk about to make us think like, even if at all it were just to be organized in Southern Cameroon alone, we will never allow it to be organized by Mr. Paul Biya. We know his track record in election rigging. Because Mr. Paul Biya is the one rare person in the world that can organize elections even in his house, just between himself and his 3 children. There are 5 of them. And in the end, you may have 100 votes. So we can never accept those kind of things. I think Mr. Paul Biya should know that we are not joking. If he thought we were, let him hear from my voice. I think he heard my voice at least for the past 19 years. I used to tell him this sometimes on TRTV, that this day will come, and the day has come. We are not joking. It is all the way to the end. So any such cosmetic things wouldn't carry anybody's way. So anybody who listens to that kind of thing and say, oh yes, that's a referendum, let us go and vote. Mr. Paul Biya cannot send us to sleep. We are not his maligned opposition in Cameroon. We are not. And we're not ready to fall in that game. We will not play it.
So the question that I have for you is, you just for the first time, we are actually hearing that, Mr. Biya is planning to have a referendum to be held in Cameroon to decide, to determine the nature of the form of state. Why is it that he wants to do a referendum? Why can they not discuss this in their parliament?
Well, you see, that parliament, you talk of that parliament, right?
Yes.
We first of all have issues with that parliament because the constitution The federal constitution that we just drank and swallowed was voted in that parliament. None of our representatives were in that parliament. But did they at least respect even just that constitution, which had an Article 47, so indicating that the federal form of the state would be inviolate? Look at that. This is something that people should know. There is no institution in that country that should be trusted. I remember in 2008, I was not only given a query along with one other colleague, Henry McCauley, who should be serving somewhere in CITV Boya right now, if I'm not mistaken. We were queried, and eventually we even had suspension, with the cuts on our salary. I tell I lost 8 days of my salary because we interviewed Honorable Paul Abine. At that time, he was a CPD, a member of parliament. That's when they were struggling to revise the constitution. And Honorable Paul Abine said, if those constitutional revisions were allowed to go through, then the presidency will have a stranglehold on all other state institutions. Just for playing that line on CRTV national station earned us the sanction that I just spoke to you about right now. So it indicates to you there is no institution in that country you can trust because Mr. Paul Biya appoints and fires anybody. He appoints even the Speaker of the Assembly that you and I know. So what institution can you trust that there is no institution that can ever be independent? Now you're talking about parliament. Why has that same parliament not dared to even talk about, to even have a debate about this problem 2 years running? And a lot of people are talking about 2 years. Today I was just looking at Facebook review on my activities, and I realized that one newspaper that I actually stood for and collaborated for very much because I haven't participated in creating the Times Journal, already published in July of 2015 because La République du Cameroon will not heed to their call to withdraw Francophone magistrates from our courts. That was already 2015. A lot of people situate the beginning of this phase of the struggle to late 2016. No, it started all the way from that moment until today. That parliament had never ever found it necessary to discuss about this issue. And you say it's that the parliament could talk about this. If the parliament decides to talk about it, it will be that Mr. Paul Biya has said, okay, go ahead now and talk about it, and you say, this is what I want you to say about it. So does that make any sense to anybody?
So now we find ourselves. A war has been declared upon us. Everyone now, including the interim government, has dived into self-defense as the saving grace to free Ambazonia. Now, as you know, Mr. Biya has a lot of partners. He has a lot of relationships. The international community is completely quiet. They begin to speak out a little bit. France has just dived in now, as you know, from reports coming from the ground, that there are French troops on the ground. What made Mr. Macron, instead of visiting La République du Cameroon and talking to his slave boy, Mr. Biya, why did Mr. Macron choose to go to Nigeria instead to have a meeting with Buhari? What's going on? What's the plan?
I like to laugh a bit because when people assert that France has now come in, to me it's quite laughable. France has not just come in. France has always been in. Right from day one, France has been in. And France is even at the origin of these problems. Let me tell you how. Because according to the obnoxious agreements that Mr. Amadou Ahidjo signed with the Gaulle, signed with the French government at the dawn of the independence of La République du Cameroon, and which we got dragged into, unfortunately, when we felt we were going to join our brothers, France determines the education policy of that country. You see where it begins, okay? So France has been in right from day one, right from the first day. Even when we were still negotiating that joining in 1961, France was already there. And now, France is also responsible for the violation of the 19 1961 federal constitution that said in Article 47 sub A that the federal form of the state will be inviolate. Because when the issues were found in southern Cameroons, France did not want to have anything to do with us because the French knew that if they have to pass through the southern Cameroons House of Assembly in Boya before having to do anything on our fields, the terms will never be what they negotiated with La République du Cameroon. That the kind of education we had with that kind of education that we want us to say, we want clarity, we want accountability, we want traceability, and especially, no, let us know how this thing is happening. And so we will demand more. So the French urged Ahidjo to abolish the federal system for their interest. So you can't be telling me that France is just coming in. So even at this phase of the struggle, France has been in throughout. You remember the number of times if the French ambassador has been to Bamenda, has been to the southwest. Remember the number of times that there have been interactions with France. You are just seeing France at the front lines now because the U.S. ambassador made those very clear and strong statements and indicted Yaoundé openly. And then the efforts of all the southern Cameroonians in the diaspora who have continued to expose La République to the point where the attention of the international community is now focused until the hearing in the U.S. Congress concerning the matters of the southern Cameroons. Mr. Macron told himself, Paul Biya is failing. I expected him to override these children within 1, 2, or 3 weeks. We have been assisting from a distance. If we don't go close ourselves, before we know it, the international community or the UN will come in, and at that time, it will be very difficult for us to do what we know how to do best. So that's why Macron has come in now, because it has become an emergency. And that's why instead of paying a visit to Mr. Paul Biya, he doesn't need to. At least he has direct telephone contact with Mr. Paul Biya. He can talk to him at the here. But with Buhari, he needs to come and promise Buhari things directly and tell him, please send your military to block the borders, build a cordon around the borders to push back the people of southern Cameroon if they are coming in, and even please give us more access to the troops of La République du Cameroon to come in and kill the males, the young boys from southern Cameroon who are running into your country because they represent a potential force that can keep this war on for long. Or again, better still, he wants access for French mercenaries to use the Nigerian territory as a backyard to attack in southern Cameroon. We are all aware of this. We will tweet and tweet and tweet until we shall tweet no more. Fortunately, at the level of the consortium, we have put in place a system where we are creating a Twitter club. Basically, people who get up every morning and make sure they start looking at the tweets from all the big world personalities, and we start tweeting from morning till evening. By evening, we evaluate how many tweets each person has been able to send out that day. Those represent our own bullets or those who are not on ground zero to be shooting. So everybody must be on. Everybody must be on. And especially, this falls well because it's come at a time where we're beginning to create for ourselves opportunities to have talks among the various organizations so that we will do what the people of Southern Cameroon are expecting of us. Because if we have ever thought that it will be important at some point to keep aside all egos, all sorts of ambitions and all that, and talk with one voice, that time is especially now. And it is not just that the time is now it's even too urgent, because the French want to do everything to finish this so quickly before the international community begins paying far more greater attention. Okay. It is in our interest to forget whatever we have at the back of our minds, whatever personal ambitions whoever has, and we come together. You know, this has generally been the spirit of the consortium, which is a conglomerate of organizations. The last time I had a chat with President Sako, I told him, look, this is what the people really feel, that we should all put our heads together, come up with some good intent that enables us on a daily basis to back each other up in whatever actions we are taking, so that we also, continue to give La République du Cameroon and the French a run for their energy. I want to, at this point, heartily congratulate those young boys and girls on Ground Zero who have refused to die because they didn't want to fight. A lot of them are fighting today because they are left with only that as an option. So they have refused to die. They say they should better die honorably by fighting. I want to congratulate them heartily for downing at least a good number of those French mercenaries in Boyo. By the grace of God, we shall have photographs soon that will show to the world that this is what France has been doing. Some people will come up, Mr. Asu, with stupid analysis to try to tell you, oh, you see in history how many peoples have got up and they're fighting independence and they have succeeded. The sophists, sophists are people who bring to you very misleading argument, but with a lot of, convincing points to make you feel that they're correct.
Convincing nonsense.
Yes, convincing nonsense. The truth is, the people of Southern Sudan were never even a people like the people of Southern Cameroons.
Okay.
They are independent today. They will tell us that in Ethiopia, Eritrea took 30 years. Sorry. Those people who are telling us that we need 30, 40 years should remember that we have been in this for almost 40 years now. So which means we are right now to get to the completion point. Because this struggle started way back in 1964 when late Professor Bernard Fonlong wrote to President Ahidjo to remind him that the terms of, the joining were already being violated. I want a lot of people to take note of this.
And so, as you said, we've been fighting for more than 40 years. Now you said, and the time has come. The time has come. You spoke to President Sako. Don't you think with France and the Republic being so busy to put together their assets, their resources, gather their mercenaries in order to defeat the revolution, don't you think the Ambazonian leadership, including the leadership of the Consortium, including that of the interim government, isn't it time that we should see our leaders should actually be doing this before Macron? Why is it that Macron is working with Buhari? Working with Buhari, but yet to try to find collaboration, but yet we are fighting each other. Don't you think this is the time in which leadership has to step up? The interim government has to step up. All frontline organizations have to step up and start talking about collaboration to bring our people together in order to save the lives of our people and finally deliver a homeland for our people. Isn't it time?
Well, my brother, Comrade Asu, let me laugh here a bit. Well, perhaps some people will look at me as just being funny that they're talking of some issues sufficiently grave as that, and in me it provokes laughter rather than me looking grave. I laugh often because I always say, if people had the opportunity to see what I am seeing, they will understand that that we are too close. They will understand that what we are going through was programmed for us to go through. And they will understand that we are coming to the end of this internal turmoil. Mr. Asu, look at the history of revolutions. There is not a single revolution in the world that hasn't traversed this kind of period that we are traversing. People in revolutions have always had differences. Those things have happened a lot. But fortunately for them, perhaps, at that age, there was no social media to amplify those differences. Like those differences are being amplified in our case today with, social media. But one thing you can be very sure about is that we are definitely going to overcome this challenge. Because the leaders of the various organizations that you are talking about, they are not inanimate objects. They are people. They are human beings with hearts, with consciences. They are all seeing what is happening on ground zero. I think everyone right now is understanding the emergency in the need for us to come together and reason like one man. And I want to really draw your attention to something.
Please.
Have you looked at the way almost every other leader, almost every other civil society activist has reacted to the unfortunate accusations that came out 2 days ago on the person of Comrade Cho Ayaba and the ADF? You saw reactions even from the ASC, right? meaning that almost every other group came out to condemn. It shows you a new beginning. It demonstrates to you that we are beginning to understand that we have to fight blackmail. We have to fight those kind of attempts at destabilizing our organizations like one man. So the fact that you've had some kind of unity, a while ago I saw Comrade Tato just came off the air to throw more light on this whole issue. I had said this thing before and I want to say it here. I've personally intervened so much on ground zero to get innocent citizens freed from the hands of some so-called Mbah fighters. These people are not Mbah fighters. They are armed robbers who decided to take advantage of our struggle to join in and start using the name of Mbah fighters to go around extorting from the very citizens who have been struggling to protect. Extorting from the very citizens who are doing everything to make sure that they stay free from the grips of La République du Cameroon. I have a very good friend who is so much in this struggle right from day one, when many of us in the diaspora were not even yet aware of this struggle. They burnt his car in front of his house. And you ask, why did they have to burn his car? You find out that someone somewhere said, no, this gang, we have asked him to give us money, and he has refused because he thinks that is what we are Mbah boys. But take a minute. Go back to an article that was published by Franklin Sonnebayen, that's a colleague, back on Ground Zero. Sonnebayen took time and visited some of the areas where the Ambazonian fighters are operating. And he wrote a commendable article in which he portrayed their mode of operation. And he demonstrated in that article that the real and authentic Mbah fighters don't extort money. They don't. The real and authentic Mbah fighters protect everybody. We have seen where they have even carried food, where they have even stopped trucks of oil that have been carted to La République du Cameroon and called villagers to come serve themselves. We have seen people where they have, they have done all of those things. So the few bad seeds that are in need to be disciplined. They go capture somebody's father, capture somebody's mother, give money. No, that is not the spirit. Thank God, we have a good lot of them on Ground Zero who know the spirit, who are truly sacrificing with their hearts, their consciences, their minds, and their everything to make us see freedom, to make us live the freedom we desire. And so sometimes it is true that maybe the kind of punishment that might have been dished out was a bit extreme, but look at the circumstances. Do these fighters have prisons where they can capture somebody and go and detain in that prison? No. Perhaps there are so many that they had to discipline. Upon doing what they did on one, maybe a way to set the example to the others. That if you try this, we are going to teach you a lesson this same way. It's so regrettable, okay? We regret this. I feel so sad because none of us, look at the way our people today see blood, and it's normal. But you know, the average Southern Cameroonians will be so scared to see blood. Will be so scared to hear about death. But why is the situation the way it is today? Because we are forced into it. And so we must do everything to regulate our society. God is guiding this struggle in such a way that by the time we get to our promised land, the Southern Sudan that so many people are prophesying over Southern Cameroons will never exist. Because those kind of evil people will be purged before we ever get to our land. So those who are prophesying Southern Sudan, I always say back to sender, because it will go back to wherever it is coming from. So let us be very clear about this. So we're going to have a wonderful moment as leaders in this struggle, talking among ourselves, both formally and informally. Everything will have to be done to make sure we begin to speak with one voice. By the way, I hear some people talk about fighting for power. What power are you fighting for now? To manifest power where? On Facebook?
So you tell us, what power what power are you leaders fighting for? You tell us.
No, what I'm trying to say is that people simply have ideas, that are different from those of others in approach of handling our issues. But after a long period of, this battle of ideas, there must begin to be some kind of simmering. People are beginning to find a kind of common ground. Let me take a simple example. You see, when a young girl meets a young man, the two of them decide to get married. The first few months, not so, will be so sweet, romance and honor. That's how it was in our struggle. Everybody were united together. But after some time, you know, the differences that they came with from their various families start showing up. And so they have to start battling again to find a common ground. And so after some time, the battle to get to this common ground ends and synergy returns. So we will get there. People should not demonize or over dramatize what is happening. Because when you want to over demonize, over dramatize, make as if it's something that's never happened in any other revolution in the world and all whatnot, what do, you discourage the people who believe in this revolution. Trust me, my brother, we are going to overcome. Last night when I was praying, I just said, God, please, I pray you open the eyes of a few other people to see what you are showing me. That we are not so far away again from the promised land. That we will be there soon. We will soon go home.
We are not so far away from the promised land. And that's why, as you know, the concept of collaboration for all the frontline leaders to come together in order to find, as you call it, that framework, as you call it, whether it's the town, that framework with which they can work together transparently. As you talk, they can talk in the main important things that concerns this revolution, like what's happening on the ground. Because you have all these different groups with different ideology, different methods of doing things, without a certain code of without a standardized system of ethics of operating. We as Mbah people, we as Ambazonian, we have a clear sense of direction. But if you have an organization and it doesn't have a clear sense of value, and you bring in young people with a lot of energy, with a lot of raw energy, and there is not that training of discipline, of standards, of behavior, of values, engineered and be trained and programmed within them, then this is part of what we are looking at. So that's why we're asking you, is it time for leaders to think about what we have been proposing as a way forward, a collaborative platform, a collaborative conference?
Yeah, I think you should take note of these issues that I'm going to raise right now. You see, please. A lot of these young fighters on the ground, there is no formal way by which they are being recruited. Each person feels hurt in his or her own right and decides to join.
Yes.
And in each community, young people discover that our community is not covered by any group. They constitute themselves and they say, we too cannot be left behind. We also have to defend our community.
That's right.
That at the time when there was still a lot of us opposed to picking up arms, those who were talking about arms had a cradle. They said the cradle was block by block, right? Rooftop by rooftop. Not so. So most of the young people bought this philosophy that each block people in each block must defend their block. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that is how you have now those groups sprouting up. You have in Kope Wanenguba people coming up, in Manu people came up, in Lebialem people coming up, wherever. But now you see some other thing happening on the field. The various groups now beginning to try to professionalize.
Okay.
I'm sure you have seen videos of training sessions going on. People now beginning to bring in best practices. People now beginning to see how to coordinate. And so we had to go through that period of disorder.
Okay.
Order is coming in by itself, and it's even coming in much more on ground zero than it is the case in the diaspora. So I always, at each point, like to doff my hat to our young boys and girls on ground zero for the wonderful, thought pattern that they have, and because of the glory that they are bringing to us. Because if they were not as organized as they are, first of all, and now they're moving towards greater organization, you can only expect better results. Like I say, it always gets more complicated. It always gets worse before it gets better. You get the point? So you can't just begin and then things just go as if this thing was planned. Nobody has settled down to plan for this revolution. When the wind of change came, when in the spirit world God said it is right, the time has come, those he picked up started shouting, and others that he keeps picking up daily started joining, and that is how we are marching. Don't forget that the darkest hour of the night is the hour just before dawn. You get that?
We'll get that.
Why we have had all the hot arguments in the past few days where heads were rolling. I even read in some forums, some people say, no. I was a die-hard person for independence. Right now, I'm ready for even 10-state federalism and all whatnot because they saw the corpse of this young man killed and they had not understood exactly what had happened. And then by late that evening, I saw the same people were showing that say, hey, no, 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 no. I've changed my mind. I can't go that route. Yeah, they were all human beings. There are moments where people get so hot. But like I said, this is the moment where good things are coming. You see, Yaoundé will do everything to fight the upcoming conferences, the upcoming meetings, because Yaoundé knows they too have us as they can read the mediums. They know that this time we are not going to fail to unite. That this time we are not going to fail to build that necessary synergy. That this time we are not going to fail to start talking with one voice. We are not going to fail to start coordinating. And that because of that, we too are going to have a big brother. We
and that's
will have a big brother. And the big brother is on the way.
And is that why the Yaoundé is putting up all this propaganda stuff, threatening people not to come to the conference, accusing this person of have collected $2 billion? Tell us about that, because you know a lot about this, about how Atanganji, La Republic government cooks up these things right when they know we are about to unite and to keep them out.
You know, I've told you a while ago, I think at the start of this conversation, that people give a lot of power and a lot of fame to Atanganji that he deserves. See, I once listened to Mr. Frundi tell Atanga Ponji that all you are and qualify for is only an errand boy to Mr. Paul Biya. No matter if they give you 20 titles of minister, it will never really make you a man. It will never make you somebody who is worthy of anything. That is a man whose only asset. I think you can give Mr. Atanga Ponji, you can give Atanga Ponji some little credit that he understands Paul Biya's modus operandi. You understand what I'm saying? He understands that Paul Biya likes people who do show. Because Mr. Paul Biya has lived all his life believing that life is make-believe. This is the first time that Paul Biya is seeing that life can be real. Yes, because for 30 whatsoever years, he has dabbled with people, he can get on the morning, people say, tous les syndicats, all the trade unions are going to get mad. He just laughs because he knows they will catch them, flock them, then give them 10,000, 20,000 francs, and they all get into a bar and start drinking and getting drunk and start shouting, Paul Biya, mon président. He knew that is what will happen. But today, he is understanding that he is no longer in the dream world. He is in the real world. So I'm sure before long, you discover that Atanga Ponji has outlived his usefulness. And I congratulate a lot of the citizens from La République du Cameroon, because I see them come on live video to tell Atanganji what a big fool he is. So I really don't like us to devote a good chunk of this broadcast talking about a non-entity like that one, because that's what Atanga Ponji is. He is simply a non-entity. And trust me, the day Paul Biya will sing the Kumbaya for him to dance, oh my goodness. I'm sure you and I will have the pleasure to see that. I told a good lot of them like that when I was in La Republic, and it came to pass. It happened to them before our very eyes. Because I've always told them, anytime you fight change, change will fight you. You look at that. Anytime you fight against change, change will in turn fight against you. And it will never leave you the same. It will leave you completely shattered, dismembered, destroyed, and it will reduce you to nothing. Go to Kondengi and see some of the former great people there. Some of the future presidents are all there. What are they doing there? Because they didn't hear.
And since the people of Ambazonia have embraced change, they have embraced their future, we have decided to give our all in order to reclaim our stolen independence. What advice can you tell us about how our leaders can come together for effective collaboration in order to confront what both on the ground and international conspiracy organized by France and Biya's government?
The first piece of advice I would like to give to Southern Cameroonians across the board, I can only add my voice, because I'm not any patriarch or any all-knowing fellow somewhere with the power to sit down and start dishing out advice as if I'm one little God. It's just my own idea I'm contributing. But what I want to say,
your advice matters because you are the president of a frontline movement called the Consortium.
What I want to say and let me bring you that piece of correction. President of the care is at the level of the consortium right now is just a caretaker executive.
All
We
right.
felt it necessary to do that little reorganization and put this in place because we too were literally decapitated with the arrests, with multiple arrests from our ranks. So you can understand that, yeah. So what I was trying to say is the first piece of advice I would like to give to our people is let us collectively in our various corners fight blackmail. Once we begin to fight blackmail, all of us refuse to swallow anything without investigating, I'm sure that we will effectively kick blackmail in the ass and away from this revolution. It is a distraction. Blackmail is a weapon of the weak against the strong. And I know the people of Southern Cameroon are very brave people. They are very brave people. They are people who know how to come together when it is necessary. Even if we have our differences, we shall sort out those differences after we would have overcome. So that is why I'm very confident that the frontline leaders will all put their heads together because now we are condemned by the circumstances, we are condemned by posterity, we are condemned by the sacrifices of our people on ground zero to do what we are supposed to do what we just have to do what we must do to ensure that our people don't miss this opportunity to have that freedom that we all desire. If anybody, any leader, looked at the video of this nursing mother in Boya who just came away from the battle from taking her bath, rushing even to come take care of the child was crying, to give that child breast milk, gets shot just like that. Can that kind of video leave you indifferent, Mr. Asu? Can that kind of video make you feel that no, I cannot sit and cooperate with other fellow comrades so that we should overcome this? You'll still be thinking about personal concerns, about ego, about whatsoever. Oh no. Like I said earlier, these leaders are all human beings. These leaders are all Southern Cameroonians. And we will have to understand that the most important thing would be to put country first. I've had the opportunity in the past few days to talk to virtually all of these leaders.
Okay.
Like I told you earlier, I spoke with President Sako. I've had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Bo Herbert. At least I'm sure you followed Ambazonian calling that he initiated. I mean, I wrote articles on that program, and the kind of synergy that is turning around that program demonstrates to you a willingness of everyone to go back to talk with Comrade Cho Ayaba too often. I speak with Comrade Akwanga. I think he just came back to his base the other day and notified me he's back because we always have exchanges. So I believe that this continuous talking is going to help us to kind of do what we are supposed to do. And the consortium as a body wrote an official correspondence to President Sako to explain to him our position.
Okay.
To tell him our resolve and our desire to see synergy among all the organizations once more. Because the consortium, first of all, by nature, well, I'll come to that. The consortium, first of all, by nature, is an organization of organizations. I'm sure you are aware of that. Yes. It's an organization of organizations. It's a conglomerate of organizations. And you notice we have been like that in that organization for all this while. You've not heard quarreling within the consortium. Once there's been anything that's not going right, we have taken the measures that we are supposed to take and they have been accepted. So we are going from our model because we believe so strongly that it's only in total synergy. Look at the kind of union that exists within the consortium. None of the organizations within the consortium is dissolved. No, all the organizations within the consortium are functioning. They're operating as individual organizations, but we have that umbrella kind of approach, which brings us together. We put together our ideas, and then we're able to reason like one. And that is an approach that we can adopt if we don't actually have a situation where all these organizations simply merge completely. Because the difficulty that we've had, right from Conclave 1 through Conclave 2, Conclave 3 to Conclave 4, has been to want to think that the organizations can just melt. You understand what I'm saying? Into one. You look at how the United States of America is functioning, a solid and wonderful country.
Absolutely.
With 50 states. Am I right?
Good. Yes.
Now, these states, do you know that these states could have been independent countries? Now they are together as one country, but a loose kind of union. Each state, they determine their policies, they determine their priorities, they determine their things, and they go. We should be able to copy from this and put in place an institution that would simply regulate our activities, simply regulate the activities of all the bodies. And then we will therefore be operating, but in synergy. There will no longer be conflict of interest on the field. There will no longer be that kind of fighting in the field. It's not like you're going to define this one that this is your own. No. Take, for example, the other night, I had information from Yaoundé about an imminent attack of troops of La République on a group of our fighters who were going to some locality. So I touched base on ground zero with some of the leaders. Among them was the General Ivor and yet another general. And I told them, this is what is happening around that area. Please, I don't have the phone numbers of the people of the fighters who are around there. Get in touch with them. And they got in touch and told me they have discovered where they are, but they have discovered that the forces of La République were already coming. So, what are you going to do? They decided, therefore, to organize backups, to organize distractions, to enable those ones do what they were going to do out there. So these other groups decided to create a buffer, and they started fighting La République right from the entrance. While they were fighting with them there, the group that was going to do what they were going to do was doing what they wanted to do. And that is the kind of synergy that we will have to build across the board. That's the kind of synergy that we will need among the various unions, and we will get to where we are going to. So the philosophy of each organization is clearly defined, but we can have a kind of melting point. Like I'll tell you this: the consortium for a long time, I see some people come and ask, but where is the consortium from? This man, he don't Kolo. Why is he talking again about the consortium now? Consortium again from where? So some felt that the organization has been broken. No, the consortium has always been working. The truth is, we work on ground zero. We are a grassroots organization. We are not so much interested in what is happening in the diaspora and places. For example, right now we are completing a project that we are engaged to make sure we provide medical assistance to our wounded fighters on the ground. This is something we cannot come public to talk about.
For sure.
Because if we say exactly how it is happening, if you heard that they went and attacked the Batibo district hospital, it's because they were looking for an Mbah fighter whom they had shot in the stomach around Bali, and they thought that he should have died. Then they learned that he was being treated at that hospital. So they were going there. So to make sure that our fighters don't get exposed to all of these things, we create, therefore, mobile centers around places where when they get wounded, they can get them there and they have that treatment. That's what the consortium is doing. We don't think those things. And we have been doing a lot of those kind of activities on ground zero. The consortium has remained so close to the leaders and members of the consortium that are running the civil society organizations that started this struggle on ground zero. So what do we do with the coordination that we have? They ensure that the traders keep talking to their leaders who are in the consortium, and that's why they'll keep shutting down their shops when it is supposed to be ghost town day. The Okada riders, the transporters and all that, they keep talking to their leaders. That's why they'll do what they are doing. If you look at all of the sectors of activities where we are represented, you discover that things have been going on completely unabated.
Yes.
And rather they are gaining in
momentum. Yes.
Because we keep doing what we are supposed to do. So in effect, when some people heard about our reorganization, they thought that it meant that the consortium that had died has just been revived. No, the consortium had never died. It was not being revived. We were simply reorganizing to take our activities to the next level. And then some people felt that we were coming up to fight for hegemony, to fight the interim government, to fight the AGC, to fight the SCY. And no, the consortium has never been a fighting structure, fighting people here, fighting people there. No. We have always been a unique structure, so open to collaboration at every point with anybody. And we have been doing just that. And that is the trust of the correspondence we sent to President Sako. And that's the trust of the correspondence that we're about sending to each of the other organizations to draw their attention to the importance of having synergy among us and to push our struggle to the logical end. Fighting is not our business. So some people got suspicious to the point where I even read they said the government was regretting that they banned the consortium, and so they have decided that they will unban the consortium under the table very quickly and use the consortium to, that they're going to use the consortium to negotiate federalism. I was like, oh wow, how preposterous! How can somebody even think about that? And good enough, some people call myself, but Mr. John Akuroh, we know you very well, and we're wondering, is possible that that kind of plan can be in with the consortium and you're not aware, and they're just bringing you in to use you? And I said, no, sorry. I mean, this consortium that they're talking about is the same consortium, the original consortium that has refused any form of compromise on ground zero. It is not today that we're going to start thinking about those kind of things. No.
So
we are not a body being sponsored by the Republic. We are not a body coming to fight anybody. We are the same body that we have always been doing only the things that we have been doing, which have never been in conflict, that never seen us in conflict. It's true that there have been edicts, there have been dictums. Remember that these suspicions were on even before the fourth conclave. Remember that in some 23-page document, the then Secretary General of the Governing Council accused Patterson of wanting to undermine every other structure. Because we've always been there. I know structures are suspicious of the consortium that we have a name that was so strong that we may overcome, other. No, we are not involved in fights of hegemony.
So the question that I have for you is, the question that I have for you is, with the initiative of an Ambazonian Leadership Collaborative Conference coming up, is this an initiative that the consortium is looking forward to support the idea of bringing our leaders again once more together in order for all of you to create that transparent framework with which all of you can create that synergy, that collaboration with which all the organizations can continue to maintain their independence, but have that framework with which brings you guys to a certain understanding of how to collaborate diplomatically, how to collaborate in self-defense, how to resolve this crisis, how to collaborate, and how to probably put a team together when it comes to the negotiation about, because at the end of the day, wherever it's going to happen, it's going to end with some form of a negotiation. That all of you would together proactively create a framework with which you can decide about what we are going to accept when it comes to a negotiation dialogue or whatever form. What are we going to accept? What are we not going to accept? Is this something that the consortium is looking forward to? And is this an idea the consortium support?
First of all, at an individual level, as John Akuroh, you remember that I've always talked about the need for us to have collaboration, the need for us to have synergy, the need for the various leaders to get up at least every morning and touch base with one another and try, to understand what plan of action each person has for that day, each group has for that day, to be able to, pull us forward. And again, at the level of the consortium, like I said earlier, we've always been so open, always open for that kind of framework. That is why, let me put this to you. Before Conclave 1, myself, I was in Nigeria with Comrade Tassan Wilfred, before Conclave 1. So before we had calls from people from abroad to say they wanted us to have something like a conclave, something like a meeting, bringing together the various leaders, the consortium was already in very advanced collaboration with the SCNC. We participated a lot in getting Pamfong, Galamfo, and other SCNC people to cross into Nigeria. And we're already building a kind of collaboration framework between the two structures, hoping that at least it will give us room to have some kind of leverage to go. So when the idea of all the other organizations coming in emerged, you notice that the consortium was the first structure to embrace. If we were an organization that didn't like openness, remember at the time, the struggle was being piloted by the consortium. Everybody knew only the consortium. We would have said, no, every other group should just fall behind us, okay? But we didn't think that way, and we have never thought that way. We will never think that way. One hand can't do it. Many hands will do it. Many understanding heads will do it. So at the level of the consortium, we have remained And we will always remain that organization that believes in collaboration, in cooperation, in synergy. And so we are actually not only going to, be preparing to be participants at that conference or any other conference that is coming up. We are going to be putting in our entire weight to, get any other leader who's trying to drag feet behind to understand the need to be at those meetings. Because any opportunity that we have to talk, we must exploit it and talk. Any opportunity we have to sit down and discuss, we must exploit it. Because anytime we sit together and there must be changes. Yes. And the changes would definitely be positive. So I think too often we crucify ourselves by not believing in the fact that we can still pull that feat. Let us believe in ourselves, because there is this dictum I got from one pastor whom I enjoy so much. I think it's Dr. Chris Bakpove, the writer of Our Daily Manna. This is what he says. He says, it is not the giants in life that defeat you. It's not the giants in life that defeat you. If you are defeated, it is because you have defeated yourself by wrong thinking, wrong beliefs, and wrong speaking. So you see, if we decide generally to be positive, we decide generally to avoid participating, especially in those blackmail missions. We decide to turn a blind eye to PhD, pull him down. We will get there. And blackmail only prospers when the people decide to pay a lot of attention but to blackmail. You understand what I'm saying?
We got you, sir.
The example I took for what happened 2 days ago, where there's been some general synergy to throw light on the situation that happened on Ground Zero that was being used to bring down the image of one person and one organization, is telling of the fact that the future is bright. It's telling of the fact that this struggle will change face. It's telling of the fact that we capture the challenge before us, and we will take a full measure of that challenge, and we will overcome.
As we continue with the pressure that you have said many times, that the public economy is crumbling. There has been so much, this struggle has put so much pressure on them that their treasury has collapsed. As we continue this way, I want to ask you, as a thinker, someone who's looking at the dynamics, how optimistic are you about Ambazonian people achieving the full restoration of our independence?
I've been optimistic on day one. I've been optimistic even before the struggle started. I'm optimistic even as we're talking now. To be optimistic. What am I trying to say by that? That is why every time I'm talking, I'm smiling, because I have that rare privilege that too often in my sleep, God shows me how it's going to end. God tells me, see, you people are going home. And I say, please, can you open the eyes of a few others to also see that we are really going home? So that those doubting Thomases that are still standing on the fence, so that they can join in. So that those people in La République du Cameroon who are still accepting slavery, so that they can come in. There is a minister in La République du Cameroon, a southern Cameroonian. He has written to me a letter, and he's pleaded with me that I can share his letter. So I'm going to do a video tomorrow or next tomorrow in which I'm going to share the content of that letter. He wants us to understand where they are. He wants us to know that they are more in chains than we are. They too need freedom. Right. So sometimes we look at them, we shout at them, we back at them. Some of our people even want to envy them. No. Rather, we should pity them. We should pray for them. And we should work hard to also free them. Because a lot of them, they don't have the hearts, like some of us, to be ready to say all of these privileges, I abandon you. Let me go and fight for freedom. Sometimes we need to do that. I'll tell you this, Mr. Asu.
Thank you.
You see, a lot of the time, people hang on to certain things because they doubt that if they let go, they can have better. But you see, One thing we must get acquainted with is that change is permanent. Change is permanent, very, very permanent. If there is one thing you must always bear in your mind is that if you don't risk, you get nothing. That's why the richest people in the world don't work for anybody. Can you show me any rich man in the world who's working for anybody? Show me one. You can't. Even if you work and earn $2 million as salary, you will never really be counted among the rich people of the world. But if you decide to take the risk, because to stop working for someone and to decide to go on your own means your faculties will have to work harder. So if they say that too often we're never able to exploit up to 10% of our intellectual capacity, of our thinking capacity, is because we want to get satisfied so soon. Somebody just gets up and say, "Oh, I've got a job for where I have, $60,000 a year." They say, "Oh my God!" Just because $60,000 for you a year is more than Mr. X who was having 40,000, you just end there. You will do any, even if you meet your boss in irregular position with your wife, you cannot cough because you want to protect that job. No. You can earn better. You can always do better. So we should always look at the bigger picture. And for me, the bigger picture is for our people understanding that the slave status that we're having in La République du Cameroon will never take anybody anywhere. Let us sacrifice so that our children tomorrow will live a life better than the one we are living. So that our children tomorrow will not be given jobs because of the names by which they call them. They will not be given jobs because of the tribes from which they emerge. They will not be given jobs because they are either a female who will be exploited or a male who will be abused somehow. They'll be given jobs because they deserve. Because our land is a land that flows with milk and honey. If we have been able to survive these 57 years in these very difficult conditions, and look at it, a good lot of us are even still better than those who are our masters, who have transformed us into slaves. So even from our Slavic position, we are still excelling. Imagine what we are going to be if we have the chance to be on our own. So let us give ourselves the chance to excel if we are fortunate enough to live by the time it is finished. But if we're not fortunate enough to live by the time it is finished, our children will write, because they will enjoy it, they will write that we did it. And that is still glory. And I think that's even bigger glory, because what is the essence of life? How many days do you have to spend on this earth? Let us put in our efforts. Let us sacrifice it. Let us put in our all. Let us forget about ourselves. We should think. And I tell you what, Mr. Esu, by the time a good lot of people in this revolution understand that our roles, our thoughts, or our glory needs to be getting smaller in this revolution every day, where God's glory gets bigger, we are going to move faster, very fast. Because the prophet who told me in 2013 that this struggle was coming, I'm not sure he ever imagined that this is what it was going to look like. But it was way back in 2013 that I was informed that this struggle was coming and that I was going to be involved. Little would I have thought that I'll leave, my job, my flourishing businesses, my everything to be here. But trust me, I don't regret 1 inch. To be called to serve, to find yourself sacrificing for the future of millions of people is a privilege. And I take it with so much joy.
And with that, that it takes a different level of leadership, especially the fact that the international community is watching every second what we are doing, looking at us. Can we trust these people with a new state? What are those, as we move forward to build that synergy, to build that trust? What are those non-verbal communication, which is something you understand much more than a lot of people? What are those non-verbal communications in the way we carry ourselves, in the way we speak, in the way leaders speak about themselves, about the organization, about other leaders? How can leaders, or how do leaders start carrying themselves now in order to give the international community the certainty they need to say that these people are ready to inherit a new nation? that we can trust these people with a new nation and they will not fight and kill themselves? What new behaviors should we start to expect our leaders to begin to portray?
I think, like I said a while ago, the one and most important thing first is communication among the leaders. I'm not going to pretend to want to give a lecture here to the leaders because this will be the wrong forum to do that. And you know,
well, this is a leadership strategy platform.
Big people. Let me explain to you. Big people hate to be talked down to. Big people hate that you pretend as if you are all knowing and you are just lecturing them and you're just pouring things into their heads. Trust me, we are definitely going to be talking a lot among ourselves. We are conscious of all of these things. We are definitely going to be sharing a lot, exchanging a lot. We are definitely going to be telling ourselves that the world is watching. We wanted the attention of the world. That attention is there now. What do we want to show them? So we all will begin to determine exactly what we want the world to see. And trust me, it is not only the world that we need to see that kind of those kind of things. Our people on ground zero will also be anxious to see the kind of country they should be expecting to inherit.
Yes, that's right.
It's something that is going. It's even already a priority to a lot of the leaders right now. Everybody is asking himself right now, if the international community were to say today that we are looking at this, what would they say? And it's a very beautiful thing. So that awareness is already there, and we're not going to emphasize so much because it will be like forcing an open door. You understand what I'm saying? So we're simply going to be reinforcing this discussion. We're simply going to be, trying to dot the I's, cut the T's, and then exchange notes. Okay. Where some people are still short of understanding of certain things, we exchange notes. And that's why I'm telling you that we will soon get Big Brother. Big Brother is on the way.
All right. Well, on that note, we really want to thank you so much. We've taken much of your time, your afternoon. We really want to thank you so much for making the time to come and distill the information, communicate with our people, inspire our people, give our people a sense of hope and certainty, and letting them know that Boya is real. We are going home. What last word do you have with our people on the ground, with our mothers that are in the forest and our boys on the ground?
Yes, I will honestly, anyone looking at the current situation on the ground will say it's very frightful. A lot of people at some point are almost giving into doubt. It's so hard, it's so difficult, the carnage is real, the troubles are multiplying, and they are even bound to multiply further. But one thing must remain in our minds: hope. Without hope, a man is not sure to live for one whole day. What I want to say is, let us remain strong. Let us remain resilient and resolute, because the enemy is crumbling. When you look at France coming out now in the open, it tells you for quite some time they have fought so much behind, they thought it was going to be so easy to achieve, but it failed them. So what have we, the few tiny people of Southern Cameroon done? We have displaced a whole superpower, right? We have moved France, raised France from their sleep. They can't sleep anymore because of 2 cubes of sugar. We will not melt. We should not melt, because, like I said, the finish line is so close. That is why you see the enemy running amok. They have brought all sorts of people. Today they are firing rockets. Tomorrow they are doing that, because they have lost all of the respect they had for themselves. I mean the enemy. And right now the enemy is confused. They have run short of ideas. They don't know what to do anymore. If we hold on only a few more months, I've told you, it's going to be bad in La République du Cameroun very soon. Trust me. Because like I've said, right now, all the sources of money from Southern Cameroon are closed. And everybody today understands that Southern Cameroon was the bread basket of the country. Yet we get everything and in return, we had the crumbs, and sometimes even nothing. Let us remain resilient. Let us remain strong. And especially, let love lead among us. We have all made a lot of mistakes among ourselves. Let us collectively recognize that we are all humans and none of us is infallible. And so we turn a blind eye to the errors of the past, shape the future better, and focus on it. And we keep looking only ahead, avoid every distraction until we get to Boya. Trust me, the future is bright. Trust me, we are going home. We will go home.
On that note, we come to the end of this conversation. We would love to have you back here. We'd love to have your wisdom again. We'd love you to talk to our people again. So with that note, I want to tell you, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for, for talking to our people. Thank you so much for instilling hope. Have yourself a wonderful evening, sir.
Thank you very much.
And for the viewers, we want to thank you all for participating. Thank you for joining us and have yourself a wonderful evening. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.